Hello guys, how are you doing? So today we're going to talk about how much do guitar lessons cost. So if you're considering delving into the world of guitar playing, you're probably wondering about the cost of the classes, whether it's for yourself, for a family member, friends, whatever it is. Understanding the financial aspect of committing to guitar lessons is probably essential depending on your budget. The guitar, being a widely loved and versatile instrument with a rich history, attracts learners from diverse backgrounds. We've had people all the way from 77 to 4 years old, from all walks of life, rich, poor, middle class, you name it. We've been there. So sometimes we say the price of our classes and people are like, yeah, that's fine. And you can tell they've got enough money, they go on ski trips and all that kind of stuff. And then you get some people like, ooh, it's a bit too out of our budget right now. Okay. So with a plethora of instructors and courses available, you look all over YouTube, all over the internet. There's lots of blogs, there's lots of membership sites, lots of courses, Udemy, there's universities, there's Berkeley, there's tons of different things available. And the price of guitar lessons varies extremely. So it's crucial to identify the type of instruction you seek and what you can expect to pay for each session. So here are some facts to consider when determining the cost of the lessons. Well, number one, it depends if you've got enough money to do anything. I had someone who booked in a class and then they said they were unemployed and they didn't have enough money for food until the end of the month. Another person said, I've just sold my guitar to my son who's sold it and now using the money for food. There's people really living in poverty out there. And they're still trying to book classes in. Well, I don't understand. But anyway, I guess it's desire over, situation. So in terms of what do you pay for guitar lessons, of course, you can do it for free on YouTube. There's lots of free courses out there. Lots of free videos where you can try and learn step by step. The only thing with YouTube is that you don't get any feedback. So you get someone talking to you like a lecture. So it's like you're being at a lecture hall or something. But, in terms of actually asking questions, of course, you can leave them in the comments. You can go around Reddit and get all your questions answered. But is it the same as talking to someone? I don't think so, personally. If you have sometimes you don't know the issue you actually have. You might have a specific question where you think, you've got the right questions to ask, but sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So in terms of a path to follow to try and get success as quickly as possible, normally a teacher can really, really be helpful. Not always, not every teacher is great, but I think most teachers out there get into it because they love playing and they love sharing what they know. They want to pass it on. Okay. So teaching experience and prestige, guitar teachers' rates typically reflect their experience and reputation. Fees can range from £10 to £100 per lesson. I've seen them as much as, pay $10,000 a year. So what's that? I don't know, $800-900 a month or something. So that's more like $250 a class or something like that. $200 a class. It really depends on what they're offering. If it was someone like Jimmy Page, or one of the best guitarists ever, then maybe you would pay $5,000. Maybe you would pay $10,000 if you had the money. But if you're just looking for run-of-the-mill local classes, again, it depends where in the country you are. So we've got a place called London, and London is a big city. It's got lots of money in it, and it's very expensive to maneuver around. So you might get charged more per class. So especially depending on the style. So I would say classical musicians can end up charging more, 50, 60 a class. But I spoke to a dude he lives on the coast, and he said, I just charge £10 for an hour. Don't know how he makes any money, but you do whatever works for you. So location, lessons conducted in a teacher studio or at a local institution tend to be more affordable as you're responsible for transportation. Home visits by a teacher usually incur higher fees. Again, it depends on the teacher. You might just find a local teacher who does £15 classes and they come straight to your house, which is fine. But a very industry average is £20 for half an hour, 30 for an hour. That's very common. Here in the UK, in the US, I've got friends who charge kind of $50 a lesson, like $200 a month, and that's for group classes. So again, it just really depends. Well, it probably depends on what you're selling, how nice the studio is, the setup, do you have a step-by-step plan for the student? If you're getting lessons in a school, then it's a bit more of a a gamble, depending on the teacher. You might get £10 a week classes in mini groups, but the teacher might only get half an hour of a group of 5, and it's you can teach people like that, which is absolutely fine. They can learn and grow and move forward, but what tends to happen is the parents aren't there. They might not be musical at all. The kid's just interested in guitar. And then you get this kind of situation where you don't know how to help them at home. The teacher's not necessarily helping you because they're just teaching the class. They're only earning £10, per student. So they might help you. They might send videos over. They might send you an email, but they could easily just not either. They could just give you a book, a homework book, and then you're reading it being what's a chord, what's an arpeggio, how do I tune this thing, blah, 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 all these questions. Individual versus group lessons. So again, personality kind of plays into this a little bit. The one-on-one lessons with a freelance teacher offer personalized attention, but come at a higher cost. It's not always true. We charge the same for group and when we're talking about group or one-to-one. We just offer half an hour or an hour, so I guess you get more for your money with an hour. Group lessons through colleges, music schools or music shops are often more budget friendly. Potentially, again, if you buy a 4-week course, 5, 6, 7-week course, whatever it is, at a prestigious place like Berkeley or Trinity or something like that, then there could be a higher cost to that. But if it's just a local community hall, someone's putting on some classes, and it's it could be more cost effective. Again, you're gonna have to do your research. Individual lessons versus courses. So just one more thing on individual lessons versus group lessons. Group lessons can be more beneficial. I've taught groups of 3 to 5 people, and for the adults, they would hang out in reception, they would chat amongst themselves, they'd be texting each other outside the class, they'll be going to local gigs. It was a bit more of a 360 friendship rather than just the class. So you actually find people who are learning at the same rate as you, the same level, same area, if they're coming in person. There's a whole, ecosphere, whatever it's called, stratosphere of people who are working in that kind of manner. But then other people, I've had groups of kids where one of them is a completely different personality. One's extrovert, one's introvert, and there's a clash. And so then that doesn't always work. So especially if one of them's a bit naughty and the other one's really good, and you both did them one-to-one, then when you put them together, one of them's practicing, one of them isn't. One of them's a bit naughty and outspoken and not listening as well, and the other one is. Then you get this personality clash. Of course, if you're in a social situation, there's only so many things you can do unless you're like a master teacher who can kind of navigate through that and get people really focused on what they're doing and get them interested. But if you're a more amateur teacher, you might not be able to do that. Okay, so individual lessons versus courses. Opting for a structured beginner's course can be economical, providing clarity on costs and learning outcomes. Alternatively, paying for individual lessons allows for flexibility and personalized instruction. So some people just need a bit of a roadmap, a bit of a steer. They've got the drive, they're practicing, they're learning, they're out on YouTube, they've bought a few courses, they've bought a few apps, they've got Ultimate Guitar Tab, Chordify, they've got all these things, they're actively working on it. Then in terms of lessons, it's like they just need a bit of a steer, and maybe the teacher can help them with very specific songs that they want to learn. But some people can just sit there on YouTube and just learn and just go through it, and then ask friends and family, or find someone who does play guitar and ask them the odd question here and there, and they just need a little bit of guidance. And they are just going out and, meeting other musicians and learning and rehearsing and practicing. They're just in that world, really consumed by it. But some people, they need that constant reminder, that constant steering. So it's really personality driven. So ultimately the decision on how much to invest in guitar lessons depends on your budget, your learning preferences and long-term goals. If you really want to be a rock star, if you really want to be a touring musician or a recording artist, then you might go 2 feet deep. If your family have money and you don't really have to worry about going to work and you can just 100% focus on what you're doing, then, that ultimately is going to, you're going to have more time to do it. But if you're having to go out and work at 16, family don't have much money, again, you can make it work. Kurt Cobain made it work. He just sat there and just constantly played all the time, wrote notes, did gigs, and then became really famous. But not everyone does that. So ultimately, the decision is up to you whether you choose cost-effective group classes or personalized one-on-one instruction. Investing in guitar lessons is an investment in your musical journey. It does help with a lot of things: guitar, mental health, brain function, sociability can really help with that, memory. There's a whole plethora of things that can help you grow as a person. I remember some of the darkest times as a teenager. I had that outlet where I could play guitar and just let out my emotions through that, rather than getting angry at whoever or doing something crazy or stupid. I could just let it out on the guitar. It was quite, it really, really worked for me. And even now, a friend died a little while ago. I was just able to let out emotions on the guitar and write music around that. Not necessarily going to be good music, but it's music nonetheless. That's just like a release, and it's very cathartic. So whenever I get surges of different emotions, I can let that out on the guitar rather than take it out on the world or whatever. Anyway, if you do want a free class, go down into the description. We've got guitarjourneyweybridge.com/self-appointment, so you can book yourself an appointment and book in a class, and we can give you a bit of a roadmap and help you with your goals. So if you want to do that, go ahead, jump in, and we'll see you on the other side. Okay, take care. Bye.